people automatically assume he had to have done something because you hear how everybody would, you get this role in Hollywood, you had to have done something.
People instinctively assume he must have done something since they hear about how everyone knows that in order to obtain a Hollywood role, you must have done something. Similarly, when my podcast suddenly becomes more popular, people automatically believe that I don't play like that. I don't know if I've ever been approached in a real stable situation at home, but I have meetings, studies a train, and the way I eat and sleep. So I have to understand that now. If he's willing to pay that price, there's a price to be paid for greatness. And if you're not willing to pay that price, you don't deserve to be great. Therefore, the question that Cam will have to answer for himself, not his parents, not his mom, not his handers, is that for whatever reason, people come to me, and I don't judge them. I have no preconceived notions, so they open up to me, and that's what they're upset about. Allow me to tell you about the tea, girl. That's currently leaking throughout Hollywood. Here's where things get juicy. Shannon Sharpe, the football legend turned talk show host, recently got himself into some hot water. The streets are claiming that he got canceled, but we don't know all the details yet. Here's the kicker. Katt Williams, you know, that pint-sized comedian with the big mouth, just did something that's got everyone talking. And it's all about Shannon Sharpe. Whoa, this whole thing is shaking up Tinseltown, and everyone is wondering what it means for cancel culture. Is Katt about to change the game? Are we witnessing a new alliance form, or what? Because of all people, Katt Williams is standing up to defend him. The drama is real, and we're here for it for comedy hype news. In spite of our counterparts like CNN and MSNBC, who recognize the importance of being a platform, I, John Abba, a Black reporter, am not permitted to interview Black guests who discuss their experiences with other Black talents or even criticize Black talent. Are we wrong for the job for sharing the story? You may hear Trump criticize certain Democrats one day, and the next day you may hear those same Democrats respond. But no one chooses to boycott CNN for being a platform, as you saw this week when the comedian appeared as a guest on Cam Newton's Funky Show, a podcast on Friday. Shannon Sharpe would discuss his infamous interview with Katt Williams, which has received over 70 million views on YouTube, making it the most-watched podcast interview ever. During the conversation, Sharpe told Newton that again because Katt and Williams had predicted that the interview would go viral or something to that effect. Shannon didn't believe it and was kind of shocked, thinking that there wouldn't be a significant impact. It took over 2024 for the interview to actually have a ripple effect on many current events. In addition to forecasting the interview's success, Katt warned Sharpe that it would now be more difficult to secure specific guests for Club. Shay said, "They're coming for you now." I replied, "Can't come for me because I didn't say anything right." He said, "They're coming, they're going to say a lot of different things, and there are going to be some people that you thought you might be able to get that they're not going to come now. That's absolutely has happened." They were thrilled. "Thanks for reaching out, and we can't wait to sit down." A day later, they can't do it, and after that, no call, they won't get. Thus, on Dang Sharpe said, he knows what comes with getting an interview of that magnitude, but he did not anticipate all the negativity. I guess you know the whole thing about Katt exposing the truth, and a lot of people were probably tied into that truth, so hey, he called it Katt a real one. You got to weed all the fake ones out of there, so hey, you Shannon thought people were rocking with HR, continued and mentioned that some of his friendly industry colleagues had also publicly disparaged him as a result of the interview's success. All right, let's go back to the interview. If you recall, two comedians publicly shamed Shannon Sharpe for taking part in a negative interview. Steve Harvey, who was roasted by Katt Williams in the Shannon Sharpe interview, and Dia High, who was treated with respect by Katt in the same interview. One of the comedians even went so far as to call Sharpe If Katt wins was my goal, from the time he got out of the car until he sat down, the interview would have attracted 100 million people. According to Wendy Williams, who had developed muscles as a result of the dramatic field conversations he was starting to host on his podcast. Sharpe also revealed that he had been trying to book Katt for an interview for a year before he finally accepted it. Wasn't until Sharpe bumped into a woman who later revealed herself to be Katt's new tour manager that he was able to get Katt on his podcast. A week later, what Shannon Sharpe is experiencing has why do y'all think that is? I mean, I know people be extremely busy and stuff, but I like besides that, because I think it'd be like more to it. I just don't know what like why people don't is it do they feel like some of the question? Because you can sit down and talk about like what you don't want to talk about. And if they try to ask a question or something you don't necessarily have to answer, so 'cause trying to get somebody for a whole year, man, that's a long time, girl. You won't believe the mess Shannon Sharpe got himself into. The streets are talking, and honey, they're saying our boy Shannon stepped in it big time. But what really went down, let me spill all the tea. So picture this, Shannon's doing his thing, living his best life when bam, cancel culture comes knocking at his door. Now you might be thinking, what did he do, child? That's the million-dollar question everyone's asking. Word on the street is that Shannon said something on his show that rubbed people the wrong way. You know how it is these days. One wrong word and suddenly you're public enemy number one. The internet went wild, and before you know it, hashtag cancel Shannon Sharpe's comments gained more traction than the Kardashian scandal. But the problem is that no one seems to be sure exactly what he said. It's like playing telephone and everyone hearing something different. Some people claim he made fun of a fellow athlete, while others insist he made an offensive joke. The tea is scalding hot, but it's all over the place now. You know how these things go. The media caught wind of it, and suddenly Shannon's face was plastered all over the news. Twitter was blowing up, Instagram was on fire, and even TikTok caught in on the action. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. You couldn't look away, even if you wanted to. Bumped into a woman who later revealed herself to be Katt's new tour manager that he was able to get Katt on his podcast. A week later, what Shannon Sharpe is experiencing has felt to be something we've experienced over the last years as a platform dedicated to black comedy, and all of my experience of doing this comedian earthquake to me appeared to have gotten it right years ago. I interviewed his ex-wife in hopes to give a more in-depth look at his life along with something that would catch viewers' attention. And it may have looked like an attempt to make Earthquake look bad. Now, outside of that speculation, we knew the honor system within reporting stories like this is that you always open the door for the other person to respond. And we did, and instead of denying to speak to us, Earthquake respectfully accepted the interview and voices concerns with the interview during his interview with us. That wasn't simply how a platform should be used. Both sides are able to share their point of view, nothing personal. We understood our roles. And on to the next story, and relatively 3 years later, I would join Earthquake in Los Angeles at a dinner table to help celebrate his comedy special with Netflix and Dave Chappelle. So do the black entertainers who choose to take things so personally when it comes to reporting on their lives as public figures. Please understand